Oh yeah, baby. New animated Spider-Man series. Let's go. If you know me at all, then you know that I love Spider-Man, and I'm gonna be all over this new show like a fly on a turd. So I should probably make a video about some strange, obscure Spider-Man media. Let's see what we got here. No. Ah! The Japanese Spider-Man from the 70s. Man, I almost forgot that existed. I wanted to check that out for ages. Yes, that's perfect. Let's give this one a go.
地獄からの使者スパイダーマン行くぞ命が惜しかったらどけ
What the fuck? Marvel Comics. No matter how you feel about the abundance of MCU projects over the last 2 decades, you simply cannot deny that this comic book publisher gave us an absolute boatload of some of the most beloved and iconic characters of modern day. But despite the fact that they revolutionized comics in the 60s when they introduced characters like the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, and so on and so forth, Marvel did not immediately and effortlessly become the massive multimedia mastodon that they are today. When Stan Lee stepped away from writing to become Marvel's lead publisher in 1972, he began to shop around the live-action licenses for Marvel characters, resulting in a number of TV films being produced during the 70s and 80s. The most famous and successful example of this would, of course, be the Incredible Hulk TV series starring Lou Ferrigno, but it also led to a few less successful ventures like the Captain America films, a Doctor Strange pilot, and a short-lived Spider-Man TV show. This is probably also why so many film rights to so many characters ended up with so many different studios before Marvel started to reacquire them after the MCU began to grow, but that's a bit of a different story. But possibly the strangest partnership that came during this time was when Stan Lee got together with Toei, the producers of massive Japanese live-action superhero franchises like Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, the latter of which would later get adapted to Power Rangers in the US. The deal, from what I understand, is that for 4 years from 1978 to 1982, Toei was free to adapt any Marvel property they wanted. And naturally, for their first one in 1978, they chose Marvel's big flagship character, Spider-Man. This show replaced the Peter Parker we know with Takuya Yamashiro, a motorcycle racer whose father dies when inspecting a crash-landed spaceship from the planet Spider, which has been conquered by a villain named Professor Monster and his Iron Cross army, who have now set their sights on Earth.
鉄十字キラースパイダーマン
Ah yes, Spider-Man versus the Iron Cross, truly the unsung companion piece to Superman Smashes the Klan. But remember, kids, Spider-Man being woke now is a new concept invented by the radical left so they can deliberately assassinate the character in order to accomplish things. Don't question it! Be angry with me! Planet Spider's last surviving warrior, Gyra, then injects Yamashiro with his blood and gives him a wrist device that lets him pilot the ship, called the Marveler, which can also transform into a giant robot called Leopardon. And so, Yamashiro uses these powers and machines to fight against Professor Monster's evil forces and avenge his father. So yeah, it's quite a bit different from the Spider-Man we know, but it kinda makes sense. I imagine that Japan of all places might not be too keen on having a superhero who's powered by radiation. Although, that would make for a very interesting second act of Barefoot Gen. The show lasted for 41 episodes, and as much as I'd like to, I can't really sit and watch all of those for a video. But I can watch the theatrical movie, affectionately known as Spiderman among fans, that was released in July 1978, right between episode 10 and 11 of the series. After all, it's only 25 minutes long? Huh? Yeah, anime and toku fans will know that these theatrical movies that are more like glorified TV specials are pretty common. Although 25 minutes is a new one to me. They're usually like 40 minutes or so, but I mean, who cares, right? I've been talking your ear off about this thing for several minutes now, and I'm sure you're just rip-raring to go to see some Japanese Spider-Man. And besides, it's a movie. I'm sure this will be a fine introduction to the show and tell me everything I need to know to understand it, right? Right? Before we even get to the actual movie though, we get to enjoy what might be the most funky-ass theme song you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, 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 wow. Yeah, 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 wow. ビルの谷間の暗闇に Spider-Man.
Double cheeked up.
Once everyone in the audience is done grooving, the movie then begins when Spider-Man overhears a woman and a child, apparently his girlfriend and his sibling, being attacked by aggressively dancing shadow chicken ninjas. I already have several questions. After a brief fight, which is observed by a mysterious stranger, the victims disappear, and our hero returns to his apartment only to then receive a menacing phone call.
山城拓也君だね。
はい、そうです。あなた？
君の恋人とご兄弟はお預かりしてある。
何？
私はホテル浦島の813号室で君をお待ちしてる。
A message that even the narrator acknowledges is the most obvious trap that has ever been laid.
山城拓也は呼び出し電話が罠であることを知った。しかし、囚われている瞳や信子たちを助け出さねばならない。拓也は行動を開始した。
You know, I somehow doubt that thing is street legal. The caller turns out to be an Interpol agent named Mamiya Juso, and he definitely did not kidnap anybody.
妹や弟を誘拐しておきながら、何がインターポールだ！
それは違うぞ、スパイダーマン。君の恋人やご兄弟は誘拐したのではない。ただホテルのプールに遊びに来てもらっただけだ。
いい加減なことを言うな！
Except, again, no, it isn't. He literally did exactly that, all just to lure Spider-Man there. And apparently not one of them had any questions about an invitation to a pool party from a strange middle-aged man until just now.
ねえ、私たちにこの招待状を送ってくれた間宮さんって一体どんな人かしら。どうだっていいじゃない。
Yeah, it might be a little bit late to start asking questions. Don't blame me when you wake up in a bathtub full of ice. The one shitty thing Juso did do was tip the Iron Cross Army off to where to find them, just so he could lure out Spider-Man and find out his identity. But apparently this is a-okay with Spidey, who immediately agrees to help Interpol fight against the Iron Cross Army. But he was already fighting the Iron Cross Army, and you already have the resources to feed them information whenever you want, so you could, whatever. Juso then tells Spider-Man about the villain's most recent scheme, making their goofy-looking shark monster torpedo oil tankers from the Middle East for reasons. Spidey then senses that there are Iron Cross agents nearby, and we get treated to a fight scene at the local park. And just to be real for a second, aside from some of the wacky editing, the special effects are actually really cool for a low-budget TV show from 1978. Spidey's suit looks freaking sweet. He uses his webs creatively, a lot of the shots of him crawling and stuff are actually really well done, and his suit actor really gets to show off a lot of impressive athleticism, which is probably why they keep replaying every shot of him doing anything cool like 6 times in a row. But of course, we also have this hilarious shot of Spider-Man running through the park like he's trying to find a bathroom. Oh geez, my spider sense really needs to tingle. Unfortunately, while Spider-Man is just off having fun whipping up chicken ninjas, Jusa is then kidnapped by Amazonas, the right-hand woman of Professor Monster, who instructs her to take him to their ship and torture Spider-Man's secret identity out of him.
スパイダーマンの正体を吐いたか。
いいえ。
Okay. Now what?
吐かせろ。
Nuh-uh, can't make me.
しぶといやつめ。やめろ。
Oh, okay. Actually, you know what? No, fuck that guy. But Amazonas still has a trick up her sleeve. Summoning the shark monster from earlier, she threatens to torpedo the nearby industrial complex if Jusa doesn't. Whoa! Who the hell has been snooping in my incident history? Not cool, man. Spider car, it can take me very far. Spidey attempts to solid snake his way through the ship, but somehow he manages to literally just step on an alarm on the floor. At which point he then remembers that he can crawl on walls. Dumbass. Yeah, he's right there. Like, if you turn around and you look... I said look up, you dumb shit. He's right there! Spider-Man punches, kicks, and dances his way through the ship and finally finds Juso and Amazonas. And once he manages to rescue the man and take him to his boat, Amazonas then sics a helicopter on him. This is, of course, despite the fact that she's standing right next to a torpedo-vomiting shark monster who could solve the problem in seconds. How exactly did these guys conquer a planet? Once they make it to land and Juso runs off, Spider-Man proceeds to have a north by northwest fight with a helicopter for a solid minute or so before he remembers that he can jump and clings to it. Even Amazonas and the shark guy just kinda stand there watching the awkward display for a while, and I can't say I blame them. Once they're done gawking though, Amazonas orders the shark to fire its torpedoes, but Spider-Man is quick to solve that little problem.
Spiderman め
You know, if I had a nickel for every time a live-action Spider-Man fought back against the villain by attacking him with armed drones, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. But torpedoes or no torpedoes, there's still a shark monster to deal with. And in good Toku tradition, it proceeds to grow to giant size to go smash the industrial complex the old-fashioned way. And all you Tokusatsu fans out there know exactly what that means.
Change Leopardon!
And in yet more classic Toku tradition, it takes all of 2 attacks for Leopardon to completely wipe the floor with the monsters, since that's about all the footage Toei ever shot of the damn thing in action. Oh well. Bye, shark guy. What the hell was that scream? It sounded like half of a Goofy holler. And so our movie ends with Spider-Man and Juso agreeing to assist each other in the fight against the Iron Cross army from here on out.
スパイダーマンに休息はない。彼が安らぎを得るときは。
Boy, if that doesn't just perfectly sum up 60 years worth of Spider-Man comics. And that's it. That's the Japanese Spider-Man movie. Now you're probably sitting there chuckling to yourself and going, oh, what a delightful, silly little curiosity of Spider-Man media that had no influence on the franchise, but I'm just gonna stop you right there. Japanese Spider-Man had more of a legacy than you might think. For one, it's basically the reason Super Sentai has giant robots at all. You see, when the show was being developed, the creators actually wanted to stick more closely to the original comics, but Toei basically stomped their feet and demanded they put a giant robot in it, since Japanese children were just eating that stuff up at the time. And they were completely right. Leopardon was such a hit with viewers that when Toei decided to scrap their next few Marvel adaptations and just retool them into more Super Sentai, they added giant robots to those shows too. And now, almost 50 years later, those are still a franchise staple. All thanks to Spider-Man. And while you probably won't find many people outside of the biggest comic book nerds who even know the show exists, it didn't go completely unnoticed in the West. Stan Lee absolutely loved it, much more than he did the American TV series going on at the same time, and it still does get referenced sometimes in Spider-Man media. In the final arc of Spider-Man the Animated Series, one of the alternate Spider-Man has a giant robot in reference to Leopardon, and Yamashiro played a key part in the Spider-Verse and Spider-Geddon comic book events. Hell, even the Ready Player One novel by Ernest Cline has Leopardon pop up for a moment. So clearly the series still gets some love from Spider fans to this day. With that said though, if you decide to check out Japanese Spider-Man for yourself, don't do what I did. Just watch the show instead of sticking with the movie. Don't get me wrong, this was fun as hell, and I wasn't joking when I said I actually think they did really well with the effects for the budget at the time it was produced. It's perfectly watchable if you just want to see what a Japanese take on Spider-Man might be like. And if you're cool with the bonkers nature of Toku series in general, then boy are you gonna have a blast. But as a standalone movie, it really doesn't work. It assumes that you've seen the show and spends absolutely zero time explaining who's who, why Spidey is in conflict with these Iron Cross guys, or anything like that, and it makes the first few minutes really confusing to watch out of context. So, you know, maybe keep that in mind if you decide to watch this. As for the continued Marvel-Toei partnership, the only other Marvel property I know of that was adapted without being completely retooled is the anime version of Tomb of Dracula. And who knows, maybe I'll cover that some other time if you guys want me to. But for now, I think I'm gonna web swing right over to my couch, turn on Disney Plus, and enjoy some more animated Peter Parker shenanigans. See you in the next video, folks, and bye-bye. Hi there, folks, and thank you for letting me kick off this year with just a little bit of Spider-Mania, even if it was a little bit on the short side. As always, I would like to thank Pocket Mouse, Elinor Storhed, John G. Robinson, The Danish Penguin, Warren Miller, John Oljetz, Silvermoon Ravenwolf, and anyone else who ever has or is currently supporting me on Patreon. I appreciate it more than you can ever know. Thank you, folks. If you would like to support me, you can find links to my Ko-fi, my TeePublic, and my Patreon pages below. And you'll also find a link to my Discord server, which you're more than welcome to join. Don't forget to like the video and leave a comment about some of your own favorite Spider-Man media. And if this is somehow your first Fiction Addiction video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to be informed when a new episode drops. See you there, folks, and bye-bye.